slasher is definitely a title I can get behind. Did I get behind the movie? Well, we'll just have to see, and we'll get into that shortly. But let's start off with the IMDb plot as usual. Uh, Julio inherits a mask like his father used to kill. A group of young people will arrive at his town and cross his path. Julio must decide whether to continue the family tradition or embrace the love he has just known. Lots of decisions for young Julio. All right, so a couple of things here at the top for you guys to know. Got a screener for this one, so let you know that disclaimer. New film coming out. So I will try to keep this spoiler free. I am going to touch a little bit on Julio and kind of some of the interesting things they have for him here, or kind of how they set it up horror wise. I think they take a couple of interesting angles here. I don't think that will spoil anything. I mean, it's at least from the plot of the movie, but which is kind of slasher standard here. Maybe a little slight twist and turn here, but nothing out of the world here. Not usually with slashers do we get a big twist and turn. Usually. And I should say that this is a film that's made in Spain. So it is Spanish, so there are, for those who don't speak Spanish, there is subtitles down at the bottom. So, we got all that going on. So I think that's all to get off the top here. So, like I kind of mentioned, some interesting ways of how they kind of set up this situation here. But I'll kind of touch on that as we go a little bit through the story. It kind of opens with the father, and very interestingly enough, he's dragging this body, from the woods or around the house into the house. The wife is there, and as opposed to her maybe freaking out or being like, hey, what the hell's going on here? And, she's just like, yeah, okay, you're going to kill the person. Okay, you got a body there. Okay, no problem. He takes the body down to his basement, to his room, or his killing room, I guess. And, kind of ties him up, to get ready to finish him off. We also got an introduction to Julio when he's a young child here. And he's made a cardboard kind of cutout of a mask similar to his father's. And obviously he admires his father, like lots of little kids do. And he puts this mask on. He takes a knife, and he actually goes into this basement. And he's thinking about it. He's like, maybe I'm going to chop this guy up like my dad does. But then the guy wakes up, kind of starts talking to him, and he kind of like freaks out. And before you know it, his father comes in there and finishes things off. And, that's kind of the a little bit of introduction there to this interesting family. And then it kind of skips forward to obviously when Julio is an adult age. And I believe it's when he just turns 20, if I'm not mistaken. But give or take in that area. And he's working in this little store with his mom, and kind of picture of it like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you have that young bunch that comes and they're gonna make a stop at this gas station, and blah blah blah, this and that, hey, we need directions to this house, whatever. And we all know bad stuff always happens when you stop at the gas station and ask for so think of Julio and his mom are that gas station. They are the people that hey, you shouldn't probably be asking for directions. Although in this case, the mom is going to tell them the correct directions to get to wherever they're going. And Julio has not yet really embraced this newfound side of him, or this family tradition, as it's mentioned. So as these young people go in, they're goofing around as usual. But he catches eyes with one of the girls here, and he's kind of like, okay, I might like her, and the girl's like, yeah, he's I can kind of like him too. Problem is that the main guy in here is also her boyfriend, and so we know that this is going to be an eventual problem here. So the group of younger people, they go on their way, whatever. And soon after, Mom congratulates Julio for it being his birthday, and his present is the mask, a mask very similar to what his father wore, and it is now his time to take over the family tradition of killing. Fantastic stuff here. So, like I said, there's some good, interesting things happening here. So this is all fun to see and kind of play out, and to kind of how they set up. What I kind of liked about the film is lots of times we get a lot of in slasher movies we get a lot from the from the young people's view. We follow them here and whatever, and you get a little bit of that. I mean, it kind of goes back and forth a little bit, but we certainly get a lot from the slasher here, the killer's point of view as well, and what is going on there. So I really appreciated that, and getting a little bit more of that. And, it is, sometimes we see those horror movies and, you get flashbacks of what happened to the killer, but we never, really dive into it. So really we're seeing a slasher kind of come of age here, and, it's his time, and, it's his family tradition. So if you're wondering why he's killing, it's family tradition. And so Mom kind of explains some rules that he has and some things that's going on, and I guess, like I said, it's a family tradition, but it also, you find out, it's a tradition in the town. It's, almost part urban legend for those out of town, because, the young people kind of know that, this kind of happened or might have happened. But the people in town, most of them are well aware of it as well. So, there is, I don't want to go through all the rules. I don't want to, spoil all of that for you, but he does have certain rules that he has to follow, and some of it's rules and some of it's advice from his mom or whatever. So she basically says okay, and sends him on his way. So of course there's this young group of people in town there, so of course he has to go, and that's basically the people he's going to hunt. And, he makes his first kill. Not too bad. Interesting. Interesting what he eventually does. Not really what he set out to do. But you would expect that. Your first kill is probably not going to go the way that you want it to. And, but he still does. He does get a successful kill and so forth. But then after that, he's he kind of like, maybe I don't want to do this. I don't know. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, and maybe it's a little bit because, hey, I kind of like that one girl there, and if I kind of stumble on this road, I'm gonna have to kill them all, and most likely her, and I'm not sure I want to do that. So there's some conflict there with Mom or whatever. Obviously, there's driven conflict between him and the guy that's actually dating the girl that he likes, and so that you get a little bit of that going on. So he's got to have that conflict, and then we got to see the young people and have them have their fun, and they have their moments. Like I say, it does go back and forth a little bit. It's not all Julio. And I'll say that, there's, a little bit of time of the film is spent on, those young people having fun and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, all that is, I could have done without. You didn't really need that stuff. But yeah, I would say, then it's going to get to a point. I mean, the movie's called Slasher. That's the point of Julio. Where he is basically going to embrace his tradition and then start going and having at it with these young people. They're not young, but they're probably in their 20s or maybe 30s. I don't know, probably 20s, whatever, it doesn't matter. So and then X, Y, and Z is gonna happen. I don't get into details. I think some of the rules that Mom said are going to come to play, and some of the advice she gave is going to come to play. There are some slight twists and turns in it, as we get closer and closer to the end. I'll leave that for you guys to see. I guess one thing I was disappointed in is, it's called Slasher. We got a lot about him, an interesting angle there of seeing, him becoming one. But when it became time to kill, I didn't get as much blood as I wanted. And being a Spanish film, I thought maybe I would get some good blood and good kills. But most of the kills were, we really didn't get to see it. Like if somebody was there and he's chopping, he's chopping, and you're mostly seeing the blood on him and not really seeing the person that's dying and the person that's getting slaughtered. And, we're not really seeing heads roll and, guts flying out and all that good stuff that that I like. So that I was a little disappointed in, especially with a movie named Slasher. I mean, come on, let's bring the blood, let's bring the guts, let it out. So yeah, that I was not happy with. He obviously is going to make a decent kill count and so forth. But again, it doesn't matter how many you kill if you really don't get to see it or you don't get enough blood or whatever. I don't know. So yeah, like I said, there's a twist or turn. The movie ends on a kind of interesting note. It is called Slashers, so I don't know. Maybe they have plans for another one. That wouldn't be shocking if we're going to follow the whole slasher game plan here to have a sequel. So that wouldn't be shocking. But yeah, I think the movie does a good job of kind of picking up and kind of staying within the standards of what it is to be a slasher, and maybe trying to do kind of present it in its own way, in its own form, within this town, and give it its some rules here and so forth. So yeah, I could appreciate that kind of angle and some of the stuff they did there. If I was going to make one big adjustment to the movie, I would have had more blood and guts and body parts going all around. Really hard to judge the acting when they're not speaking English. At least for me, it's hard to do that because I'm spending most of my time kind of reading. So I'm not really sure how great of a job they did. I think the one girl who that he likes, she seems to do a pretty good job, especially when it kind of gets down towards the end, and again, she has to, she's the focus of him. So and then her boyfriend is the one that's really opposing Julio. So, as it kind of gets into that more dramatic moment, high tension moment, I thought she did a really good job. Otherwise than that, it's really hard to kind of tell, what kind of acting job these people are really doing. So yeah, I kind of, like I said, I like the angle. I like some of the ideas here. I liked what they tried to do. Just wish they would have pushed it a little further in some of the stuff that I like. But not a bad idea overall. And I liked the attempt here and what they tried to do. So with that, I think I'm going to give it 2.5 pools of blood. And that is out of 5. Down the middle. There's some good, and then there's some things I would wish I would have seen. Had it been a little bit more bloodier and so forth, I probably would have bumped it up a little bit. I mean, he does kind of go into kill mode eventually, and so forth. And they, in the movie does have some slight comedy in it. It's not gonna make you roll on the floor or whatever, but there's a little bit of comedy in some of the stuff that happens as well. One or two scenes here. So I'm just gonna go down the middle with it. But I definitely think that you guys will, should watch it, be of interest of it, and some of the things here they do as well. So with that, horrorsgorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all of my reviews written in video, but certainly mostly video reviews for a while now, so you can like and subscribe and do everything that everybody wants you to do here on the wonderful world of YouTube. But if not, no worries, it is truly okay. I thank you for your time regardless, whether this review, other reviews, shorts, whatever. Twitter, Facebook information down below. Feel free to reach out to me there as well. Talk horror once you guys see this movie. Feel free to comment in the comment section once you guys get a chance to see it. Let me know your thoughts and your thoughts on young Julio and the angle they take there of him becoming a slasher and so forth. I should also mention, I should have said it at the top, that I believe I have press release for this one, so I will try to make sure to include the link down at the bottom below as well. So if you guys want more information, I know maybe even a little bit harder for you to find information since it is a foreign film, where you guys can find it and some additional information about it. So with that, I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.